MySQL is a popular open source relational database management system. As part of the LAMP stack, MySQL became a critical part of the web platform. In this video, I want to show how we can build a JavaScript application that connects and work with a MySQL database. And here's what I want to do. So in this tutorial, I want to go do the following. Well, first of all, we're going to spin up a MySQL database instance with Docker, because Docker is the best with these kind of things. If you want to learn any technology, any database technology, any message queue, any heavy software you don't want to install it on your Mac or your laptop, right? You just want to spin up a container, do your work, do your tutorial, do your thing, do your project. Whenever you're done, you just kill the container and that thing is gone, right? You don't put it with your laptop with this stuff, right? And we're gonna spin up the latest version, which is 8x, right? And then we're gonna write some JavaScript code, specifically in NodeJS, to connect to the MySQL database instance, and we're going to use this beautiful MySQL 2. This is the latest node package and has support promises, which is very promising, right? And then we're going to do some select statements from the JavaScript and just execute some queries. Then we're going to do some DML like insert and update and delete, right? And then these are all of this up to now, they are very atomic operations. So we're going to do some transactions, right? So we can just like begin a transaction, do some work, and then terminate the transaction and commit and rollback and all that jazz, right? And as I start talking, you should have seen some time code to jump to the interesting part of the video, guy. That's it. Let's just jump into it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Hussein, and this channel will discuss all sorts of software engineering by example. So if you want to become a better software engineer, consider subscribing and hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. That's it. Let's just jump into this video, guys. All right, guys. So the first thing we need to do is to spin up, obviously, a MySQL database, right? And in order to do that, you need Docker to be installed. So go ahead and install Docker for desktop, for Mac or Windows. And to know if Docker is up, just do this, Docker run hello world, right? And if you get this back, hello from Docker, you're good to go, sir. You can do this tutorial right now. Okay, so once we have Docker installed, we have everything in. Now let's go ahead and spin up a MySQL database very quick. So to do that, you do Docker run, and always make it a habit to give your container name, and I'm going to call it MS for MySQL, right? And then the next thing is we want to expose the port that the MySQL is running on, and the default port is 3306, right? And that will be mapped to the internal port, which is 30306, right? So this you can change this to be anything you want, right? This has to stay 3306, right? This can be anything you want, but that's what we're gonna essentially connect to the database using this port, right? And then obviously the MySQL instance image require an environment variable, and it's called MySQL underscore root underscore password, and that's the password to get into the MySQL. I'm gonna call it just password, and then finally we can just specify the MySQL. All right, and I'm gonna just use MySQL, and the latest version as of today, the latest is 8, right? And this should work with the future versions, but just in case, you can just add 8 like that, right? So that should do the trick, right? Let's go ahead and spin up the container, and it's just like that. The container is spun up, and this terminal now is busy, and I'm gonna keep it busy like that because I want to see the queries that goes into this terminal, right? That's good. Okay, all right, looks like the database instance is up. So what we're gonna do is let's connect to this instance, create a database, create a table like an employees table, whatever, right? And let's play with this thing a little bit. Let's spin up another terminal, another one. All right, so in order to create a table or create a database, we need to bash into that container, right? That's MySQL container, and do all these commands. So how do we do that? So there is a command called docker exec, right? Execute, and then there is a dash interactive terminal, because that's what I want, interactive terminal. I want to interact with this thing, right? And I'm interested in which container. I called it ms, that's my container, right? And what command I want to execute? I want to execute bash, which is the interactive essentially terminal, right? And then when I do that, I am now in the container, this guy, right? So what I want to do essentially is just run MySQL. And to do that, we do MySQL -u, and the root user is called root, and the password, you can do -p, and then immediately type the password. Don't add a space. For some reason that doesn't work, right? So you have to do password, which is my password was password. Remember when I spun up the container, I specified that password. Okay, and then just and you are in, sir. I think we can do clear. Hey, we can do clear. All right, whatever. CLS? No, looks like we cannot clear the screen for some reason. All right, so let's go ahead and create a database. How do you create a database? Let's go create database test. And then when you create a database, you can just use that database. I'm gonna call it use test. Now that's my database. And what I'm gonna do, I think you guys see, right? It's okay. And then let's create. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a table. So how do we create a table? Create, let's do all caps. Create table, I'm gonna call it employees, and MySQL is case sensitive, guys. So if your name of the table is employees all caps, you have to communicate with it this way, right? And I'm gonna have an ID, and it's called int, and it's a primary key, and it's also auto underscore increment. I think that's how you do it, right? So the ID, and I'm gonna have a name. Yeah, sure. Let's have a text, and let's sure SSN char. How many characters is it? 10. All right, sure. And that's it. We create a table, right? Let's insert some rows in this table. So insert into employees. I don't need to specify the ID because it's auto increment. So I'm just gonna specify the name. Let's call it Hussein, and the SSN, let's say 111. Will I get yelled at if I don't specify actually 10 characters? Yeah, it says you have an error. Well, yeah, of course. I forgot to do name and SSN values. I have to do this way. Yeah, so that works actually, right? So let's go ahead and create another row. Let's call it Edmund. This guy is 222. How about Yara? Sure, 333. Yeah, we're just creating some rows because we're gonna go there and from JavaScript and consume this stuff, right, guys? All right, so rec 555. I think that's enough, right? Sweet, guys. And by default, guys, when you create this table, this is an NoDB storage engine. We're going to talk about the storage engines in future videos and details about them, but this storage engine actually supports ACID transactions, right? Prior to 5.5, I think, MySQL, the default storage engine was MyISM, I think that's how you pronounce it, and that didn't support transactions, right? So you couldn't do fancy transactions with that one. All right, so I don't think I have to do like commit, but sure, you can do that, right? But all of these are actually just individual atomic transactions. Now we have a table, so let's do select all from employees. I think I'm gonna get yelled at because of that. Yep, that's exactly what I told you guys, right? Have to be select all from employees. That's something I recently discovered actually. And all right, this is getting nuts. Let's do it again. All right, there you go. Select star from employees. There you go. Okay, let's go to JavaScript, write some code, connect to the database, and do some fun stuff. How about that, guys? All right, guys. So I have Visual Studio Code here. I'm gonna go ahead and go to File, Open. I'm gonna go to my JavaScript folder, JavaScript Playground. Again, guys, the code will be available in the description below. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a MySQL JavaScript folder, right? Brand new folder. And once we create a brand new folder, what do we do next, guys? Create an index.js file where all our code will go there, right? And since this is a brand new project, we need to initialize the project npm init -y. That means just shut up, I know what I'm doing, just create a package.json. And then once we have the package.json, we're ready to rock and roll, guys. So what we want to do here is we want to reference the MySQL 2 library, right? MySQL 1 actually is very outdated, right? And uses callback, which sucks, right? We want the promise stuff. So here's what we're gonna do. So let's go create a MySQL equal require MySQL 2, and then what we're interested in is the promise-based library. So you can do /promise. Okay, so now this beautiful library actually has a promises. So let's go ahead and create a connection. So to do that, let's go ahead and create an async function because we'd like to use async await. So go ahead and create async await, and let's just do the usual jazz, try catch, all that stuff, right? If there is an error, just yell at me. That's the error. And here's what I want to do. I want to connect, right? So constant connection is equal to MySQL dot create connection. Okay, and you're not gonna get IntelliSense because we did not install this package. So let's go ahead and actually install it, right? So we can get this beautiful IntelliSense. So how do we install stuff? npm install MySQL 2, and just like that, we have MySQL, right? And this is version 2.0.2. Okay, so now when I do .create connection, beautiful, I get this stuff, right? So what we do is essentially creating connection. You have to specify a configuration, right? Where are you connecting to? And this is a big JSON that we're gonna stuff, we send stuff to, right? So let's go ahead and specify the first thing. Where are you gonna connecting to? I'm connecting to my local machine, which is the Docker instances, which is happen to be my host name Hossein Mac. You can use localhost as well, that will work as well. The port is, guess what, 3306, that's the port, right? And the default, if you don't specify it, that will be the default port, that works as well. The user is root, right? And the password for root is password. That's what we specified. Probably not a good idea to connect as root. You want to create a user and connect as that, right? We're doing a tutorial, so it's just playing anyway, guys. And the database finally is called test, right? That's the database we created. Okay, and since this returns a promise, we need to await that stuff, right? So now we have a connection. What do we do with a connection, guys? Let's do a query. How about that, right? So we do a query, and then you can do select the worst thing ever, select star from employees. Never do this in production, obviously, guys. And let's just do select employees, right? How about that? If you do select const result, and you obviously await that because this is a promise as well, okay? And let's go ahead and do console.table result, right? And I'm gonna just debug this and connect. Let's see if we can actually debug this stuff. Let's see, do we have any problems? We don't, because we never actually called the function. Let's go ahead and call it connect, right? So if I go connect, this will go here, do that stuff, and the moment I do debug, start debugging, right, the launcher will actually execute my stuff, right? I'm gonna get the connection, I'm gonna get the result, and the result by default, you get always two arrays. Always, right? The first array is actually the text result, and the second is this definition of the result, right? How does the result look like? Okay, and sometimes this is useful, right? So it tells you like, hey, I have the ID field, right? And this is the original table, and the second field is, I don't know, the name. It tells you the schema essentially of the result. And the first one is actually the result itself. So you can essentially do sub0 like that, and that's the result, right? If I do, let's restart it. If I do just print the result, that's exactly the result. If I print the schema, right, this will print me the schema, right? And the schema is ugly because there's like a lot of stuff, right? There's a huge table. So a lot of people, especially the library itself, they do this structuring thing that always confuses me. But I don't like to use it because sometimes I find it confusing. But yeah, you can do this, right? And that works as well. And essentially, that will destruct the assignment to have it to have the first results here and the second results here. So it's exactly what we did, right? So if I do this, that should work as well, right? And that will be the schema, right? So whatever rocks your board, guys, you can do that. Or, right, I'm gonna put both codes here for you. You can do this, right? Results, and then do result sub 0, right? Any works, right? I always find this to be confusing, especially like if you guys start passing it as an argument. Maybe I'm just a bad programmer, but yeah, I find it just a little bit confusing. So I like to do this old school thing. All right, we have this. How about we do a little bit of fancy stuff in this query? Let's be a little bit fancier. Okay, so what I want to do here is essentially do a where clause, where name is equal. And here's the thing, right? Compared to Postgres, this is actually kind of easier if you think about it. You say, you can do this the sketchy way, where let's say I'm searching for const name is equal Yara, right? That's what I'm searching for. You can do this, right? And we used to do this all the time back in the 90s when I started learning this stuff. Late 90s, I'm not that old, right? So yeah, so when you do that, that's bad, right? That will work. Let's show you that. Okay, that will work. Now this is showing me Yara, that only that query essentially, but that's bad because you can get into SQL injection, and we talked about SQL injection in this kind of channel. I'm gonna reference the video here, right? Another fancier ways to do this template, right? But that's exactly the same, right? Still bad, right? But that looks a little better, but never even do that, right? Why did you get an error? Yeah, because we forgot to do the single quotes, but that's essentially the same thing, right? It's exactly the same thing, right? The correct way of doing this is actually doing parameters. So this gets synthesized for you. So you essentially do a question mark and you pass an array of arguments, and your arguments goes here, because what happens here, essentially the library, that client library, will sanitize this thing and make sure it's not actually Yara semicolon a single quote semicolon, and then just drop table employees, right? You don't want to do that. And let's go ahead and do that stuff. That works, right? Let's always do this. This is the correct approach, okay? All right, so now we did select with this. How about we do an insert, right? Let's just insert some employees about that, right? So we can do that, and I still want to do the all employees, right? Maybe we can show the all employees. And yeah, let's do another query showing all employees. How about that? Because it's fancy to list all the employees. All right, that's cool. So this will list Yara, and then it should, oh, we have double results now. Results all. Results Yara user name. Okay, results all. Nice. Let's make sure we run. Good. The first result and for the second result. All right. So here's what I need to do. All right. The next thing we want to do is let's insert some rows, and let's insert them in the beginning. So whatever that we insert actually shows up, right? So here's what I do. We will do const result insert equal await con.query. Everything is a query, right? And we can do insert into employees. Has to be caps, right? Otherwise we get yelled at. And then we do name and SSN, and then let's just do right. Same thing, guys, right? Comma, comma, right? And then I want to insert the name is, give me a name, give me a name. Brittany, come on, Brittany. And then we will insert an SSN. That was text, right? Did I do a text SSN? So 999, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's insert Brittany. Brittany. And then we're gonna do a console.log results insert. Okay, let's see what do we get back as an insert. I'm not sure. So we're gonna debug. We just inserted this stuff, right? So if I go here, right, and we get essentially an array, looks like it, and it says a row is affected. Okay, that's cool, right? If I printed that, do I get anything useful? Yeah, probably we should print the first down. Let's print it. Now I'm not gonna get yelled at with primary key error. So we're gonna get duplicates, and that's fine, right? So here's again affected rows 1. So we got 2 rows now. Let's query. There you go. We got 2 Britneys. We got 2 Britneys. Man. All right. So and then every time I query, I'm gonna get, unless I do an index on the name, I'm gonna get an error over the time, or maybe the SSN. We can actually create an index on the SSN, and that will essentially prevents me from creating multiple users like that. But essentially, that's okay. We're just testing, because the next thing, guess what? We're gonna do that is we're gonna do a delete. So this is delete the insert. Let's do a delete. To do a delete, we call it result delete. Result delete. And how do we delete? How do we delete? We delete from employees where, let's delete all the Brit names. How about that? All right, we're gonna delete them, and then they were gonna add themselves anyway, so it doesn't matter. And let's do where name equal this. How about we delete by SSN for a change, right? Okay, delete the SSN 999. Okay, sure. Sha. All right. And oops, we deleted 2 rows. That looks good. And then we're gonna turn out an insert a row with Brittany, and that will give us this. Nice. That's nice. Okay, that's more like it. So every time I do this now, there is a Brittany that will get deleted, right? Is that right? Yeah. Brittany will get deleted, and then when I do that, I'm gonna turn on and insert it. Okay, and so yeah, delete. We can delete. We can insert. We can update. Right? How about we update? We can do an update. Let's do an update. Very similar, guys. Right? Similar thing. Then finally, we're gonna do a transactions. Right? So let's do an update. Result update. It'll be a short video, guys. So update employees set SSN equal, let's set the name equal name plus, I don't know, we just add like Mr. name, right? For where name is equal Edmund. Let's do that for Edmund. Edmund will become Mr. Edmund. Or how about we do something fancier? Okay, I'm not sure. This should work in statement, right? In this and this. And Edmund, Hussein, any misters, we'll do that. What other misters? Ali is a mister, right? Rick is a mister, right? Oh man, I'm playing with things, man. I did not test this. Let's see. I think it should work, right? I know this works in Oracle. I never tested it in MySQL, really. There you go. We got yelled at. What's going on? It says truncated wrong. Truncated incorrect double value. Why? Why is it there? Why is it error? It didn't like something. Delete from update employees. set name equal. I don't think it logged this one that I had a Mr. plus name. That should work, right? Why is it yelling at me? Where name in this? That should work. Oh yeah, that's bad. Okay, we need 4 commas, well, 4 question marks, 4 to match 4. Let's try this. Don't yell at me. Okay, all right, we got yelled at again. Truncated, incorrect, double value, Mister. Yeah, it thinks that Mister is actually it thinks Mister is a double for some reason. Why? Uh, I okay. I think I know what's going on. Let me try this a little bit. I think it's all right, guys. I figured it out. So had to look it up. So it's actually a function called concat. That the double bar is actually for Oracle. A little bit different, but that should have done it. Let's look. All right, guys. So as you can see, it's Mr. Hussein, Mr. Edmond. I forgot the space, but you get the idea, right? So yeah, so that's how we do it essentially. Update, delete, and insert and query. How about we do the transactions and in this tutorial, right, a little quick. So to do a transaction, guys, it's not really hard. The idea of a transaction is you take the same connection, right? Let's say await connection dot, you say literally begin transaction, right? And then once you do begin transaction, that starts a transaction, and all the stuff that you do in this transaction are actually scoped to this transaction. So any changes you do will not be visible by anyone else unless you commit it, right? Even that is a little bit loaded because of isolation, right? And we talked about isolation in this channel, right? So it depends on the other transactions in-flight transaction isolation levels, right? If it's read committed, yes, the moment you commit, they will see it, right? But if it's not repeatable, they will not see it unless essentially unless you committed it before they began their transaction. It's complicated stuff, but we talked about, I'm going to reference the ACID videos, right? So yeah, begin a transaction, and whenever we're done here, all the way, I'm going to add a connection dot commit, right? And then obviously you're going to await it because it's a promise, right? And here's the thing. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you an interesting thing here, guys, about transactions. First of all, let me do it without a transaction and show you exactly what's happening, right? Let's do it without transactions and see what happens when I do this, right? And let's do a query that is devastating a query. What is our devastating query? How about we just const insert one equal await con dot query. We're gonna insert a new row here. Insert into employees, right? Name, SSN, values, duck, duck, duck. And then let's just insert what? What are we gonna insert, man? We're gonna insert Lord. Okay, 000. Okay, that's the SSN number of the Lord, man. Okay, why is it yelling at me? I think that's because of this. All right, we have to do it this way. All right, so now here's what we're gonna do, guys. I'm gonna put the breakpoint here, okay? Okay, and then I'm gonna do a query all, right? I'm gonna select everybody right here. I'm gonna show you, right? Good. Let's restart it. So now, result all is already, okay, so let's just result all too, sure. Okay, right now, all right, so let's start it up, and you can see that I'm gonna insert And the moment I insert, right, I'm gonna query and print everything, and I can see Lord is here. Sweet, right? And now let's go to MySQL, right, the actual client, and see if my row is actually there or not. So if I do select star from employees, it's actually there. That's interesting. And you might say, Hussein, yeah, of course, we just inserted it. What are you talking about? When you don't use transactions by default, every query is auto commits immediately. So that means everybody can see it, right? Including us, the new client. So now let's change this a little bit and introduce transactions by doing this, right? So I'm gonna change a little bit. Let's call it, I don't know, Lord Voldemort. Okay, this is how you spell Voldemort. I'm gonna get yelled at by Star Wars fan. Okay, so const, let's just do await connection dot begin transaction. Is that how you spell transaction? I think so. Yeah. Now at the end, or not necessarily at the end, right here, I'm gonna do account.commit. I'm gonna commit the transaction here. I'm gonna await it, obviously, right? I think it's just like console.log committed. Let's see what will happen, guys. I want you to pay very good attention. I'm gonna call this, I don't know, 88888, right? We're gonna begin a transaction. All right, so we're gonna begin a transaction. I had a typo right there. Okay, fixed it. So we're gonna begin a transaction, and here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna insert that. It's very interesting. I'm gonna insert Lord Voldemort. I'm going to print Lord Voldemort, but I'm not gonna commit Lord Voldemort. So if I queried Lord Voldemort, queried everything in my database, in my transaction, I can actually see it. But if I go here and I say select star from employees, Lord Voldemort is not there. And you guys, this is the basics of transactions, right? As long as it's not committed, nobody can see it, right? Unless their isolation level is actually set as read uncommitted, so that everybody can see the dirty stuff, which is a dirty read, right? And we talked about all that stuff in the asset video. So the moment I commit, now if I go here, you can see Lord Voldemort. All right, guys, that's all for me today. Very light video, MySQL stuff. All right. Did you know that my in MySQL stands for the daughter of the author of MySQL database, right? His name is Morty. I don't know his full name, right? But his daughter name is actually Mai. Her name is Mai, and he named the database after her. And he created another database called MariaDB, and you guessed it, his second daughter, her name is Maria. So that's just a trivia for you guys. All right, hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, share it with your friend. I'm gonna see you on the next one. You guys stay awesome.